It was a wet, muddy battle, but the Colts beat the Patriots and they're on their way to the playoffs. Traveling in the Baltimore area has been made difficult by heavy rains and stream flooding. We'll have a weather update. The full reports are next right here on Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
This is Eyewitness News, Maryland's most complete television news service, with Richard Scher and the Eyewitness News team.
Good evening. Richard Scher is off tonight. I'm Oprah Winfrey. Right now, the Baltimore Colts are celebrating after their stunning victory over the New England Patriots. That will send them into the playoffs. Tom Boyd is here with instant eye highlights of the game. Tom, tell us about it.
Oh, we're coming at you so real at this moment, Oprah. I have just come from videotape, to be real honest with you folks. Bottom line, 30-24, the Colts do in fact win when they have to. Our backs were to the wall. You'll hear that mentioned several times, but what I want to do right here is show you where the Colts reached down for what they had to reach, and they pulled it up, and they did it very well. So let's look at the highlights from the second half of this game, beginning with Burt Jones, touchdown pass to Glenn Dowdy. We had some problems, or so we thought. The possibility existed for problems. Personality clash, you heard a lot of that mentioned here on Channel 13 this week. This is where we started coming back. We were trailing 21-3. Their rookie Claiborne had made a 100-yard kickoff touchdown return to open up the second half. Okay, after a fight between these two close rivalists, Burt Jones rifles this shot, 76-yard touchdown play, longest in the history of Burt Jones, to Raymond Chester, number 87, another guy who felt like he has been slighted somewhat in the past. Another touchdown. We're up to trailing now 21-16. One of the big plays today, Norm Thompson, a beautiful interception, one of a pair that he came up with. We're in the fourth quarter now, and we're actually trailing at this point 24-16. We had missed a field goal. They connected on one. That was Thompson getting us back into what they refer to as good field position. Lydell Mitchell, what can you say about him? 3 consecutive years, 1,000 yards plus. A heck of a run here to put us closer and close enough for Burt Jones. Another one of our dissidents of the past, Freddie Scott. And what a beautiful touchdown strike this is. Right into him, quick little sidestep to stay out of trouble. And suddenly we're in this thing trailing 24-23. And a lot of excitement at the House of Miracles over on 33rd Street this evening. Stan White, a super day for him, defensive player number 53 in the shots coming up. He's the Burt Jones of our Colt defense, and he contains Sam the Bam Cunningham, and you see it right there. Right there, he gets him as he runs over that line. A great day for Stan White, and an interview coming up with him just a bit later on in this sportscast. Burt Jones has to scramble. They thought this was a fumble, but as explained on network television today, New England did some illegal hitting and trying to get that ball jarred loose, so that was why it was not ruled a fumble at that point. We're still trailing by 1, and now it's Burt Jones to none other than number 23, the workhorse, third and tough. You always count on Don McCauley. McCauley comes up with a game winner today. This is it, 30-24 at this point, and the only thing left in the game is to cap it, to save it, give us some insurance positioning, if you will. Norm Thompson once again, and he explains later in an interview exactly why he was so free to do this sort of stuff that he did, and turned them on in a packed house over at the stadium. It could have been, except for the weather and the fact that it was on television. But the bottom line, and it's a good news one, 30-24, we are in fact in. The club now is beginning in the locker room to talk nothing but about New Orleans and Super Bowl, just like we were at the first game of the regular season. So that's the situation to this point. We'll be back in our regular sportscast with a talk with everybody. Believe me, with absolutely everybody. Till then, that's Eyewitness Sports and good news for the Colts.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Of course, the Colts are tonight's big sports story, but before we turn to Tom Boyd, I am pleased to announce that the Channel 13 Instant Eyes basketball team beat Public Television Channel 67, 72-44. The sweet victory turned bitter, though, when team member Norman James injured his knee, but I guess that makes 1 win in a row for the Eyes. What can I say? What can I say? Victory is so sweet.
I just wish you hadn't said that. The instant eyes.
I was running through the control rooms today. There were some tense moments during the game.
There was some very tense moments. In the early part of the game, we looked like we've looked for the last 3 weeks. I think a lot of firm Colt believers wrote us off, but when we had to, we came up a situation of trailing 21-3 and looking pretty bleak. We suddenly got pretty hot and did the things that we know best how to do and that we've seen for so many times in the past in this great football city. Now, we're going to be very loose and informal here tonight. After the game, I talked to Bert Jones, Pat and Stan White family, Don McCauley, then John Dutton, Norm Thompson, the great interceptor today, Freddie Scott, and then Ted Marchibroda introduces me to his whole family. Just kind of a happy thing, so let's watch and enjoy. Sound like you've been yelling.
No, I don't. I get hoarse a little bit after a ball game. Of course, everybody says I holler at referees, and I don't think I hollered once today.
That brings us to a good point, though, I think, and that is a bit of a rift, let's admit it, to whatever degree, between this team and the city, the fans. Can that all be buried now?
I hope so. Of course, I don't think there was any rift from the ball club towards the city. I think what it was is, you know, they were calling it the way it was. We were losing. We weren't playing good football, and, you know, they just, not they, but it was just a bad situation. I hope that they're proud of us now, and I hope that we can continue in the playoffs, and hope we get to the Super Bowl.
Patty White, I have to say, I sat in these stands and I watched this dude today contain Sam the Bam, and when that happened and when everything else was clicking on this club, we got right back to being Super Bowl stuff. I
never thought we were going to lose, even when that guy ran it back on a punt return for 100 yards. My mother-in-law, kickoff return. My mother-in-law was just going crazy, and this whole week, Stan's just been at real peace. He hasn't been as hyper, and I just was at peace, and I never thought we were going to lose. I just thought our team was going to click and put it together.
You against Cunningham, a thing of beauty.
Well, I don't know how beautiful. It sure hurts, I know that. But sometimes you just have to hit them and stop them, and whatever it takes to win, we just had to do it. And now, the only thing on our minds is Oakland, so we'll be ready for them next week.
When it's third and tough, it's always Don McCauley. So it was appropriate, I think, in this, the championship game of the regular season, you catch the winner.
It felt good, that's for sure, Tom. It's the play we ran with. It's called a 27 boss, and I think it's one of our strongest plays. We've been going with it all year, and this is the first time I think we've used it down in the goal line situation. And thank God that things worked just the way it was drawn up. And you know, we're just all so happy now. And we've put up with a lot the last 3 weeks, and it's just we have new life now. And I think this is just what we need going into next Saturday's game with Oakland.
This Colt defense just continues to amaze folks too.
Well, you know, they drove on us a couple times there, and you know. Kind of got on us, you know, and we don't like people driving on us like that, and I think we're good enough to, you know, to stop a lot of people. And New England's got a good offense, but we rose up on them in the second half and got it done.
The madder they made you, the more you rose.
You bet, you bet. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, starting everybody to do everything. Right. Yes, I think we were the better team today. We won. They didn't have anything to fight for. They're a good ball club. You know, it's you know, you can't ever say, you know, not enough about them. You know, I think they got a great offensive line and everything. And just, you know, things just started falling our way, and they just, you know, that's what we needed.
How were you able to pick on Grogan so you made it look so easily?
Well, I think he was trying to pick on me, and as it turned out, he kind of overshot Stangley on both patterns, which I think were, you know, about the same patterns. And I was just so having close enough to the ball and the receiver to come up with it.
You bring up a point of this, the whole atmosphere of this game, and that is not only were we mad about losing 3 in a row, but this team, the way they played against us in the early on, they made us mad. And once we got mad, got that hair on the back raised with our backs to the wall, we in fact looked like an unbeatable football team.
Well, definitely, our back was against the wall before we even, you know, hit the field today. And they were kind of upset because we lost and kind of knocked them out of the playoffs. But it was no way intended for us to lose last week. And we knew we had to win this game regardless of what happened last week. And this was it. I mean, you know, either you stay around for a week or you pack up your bags and go back to California, which I would have to do. So I'd rather have Oakland come here than me going to Oakland.
I don't think there's any better way to get yourselves prepared for Oakland and the rest of the playoffs, and who knows, maybe all the way New Orleans.
Oh, particularly in the sense that we're coming off some, you know, bad weeks in the sense that we lost a few, so we needed some momentum. And, you know, our backs were against the walls. This was our Super Bowl, so to speak. And so it's like, it was more or less like, you know, a playoff game to us. And we've been there before. We we know what it's like to lose in a playoff game, so we definitely want that. So
now this kind of game has a tendency to mend any wounds that exist.
That's the name of the game. You know, the character of the club to hang in there despite all the obstacles and deal with Colt football.
Well, Tom, these are my daughters. This is my daughter, Jody. She just came in from California. And this is my daughter, Lonnie, who's going home in school. My son, Teddy's in the back from the University of Virginia. And this is my wife, Ann, on the side.
Come on in here.
Class. Here's my favorite, right here.
Well, there are some in this town who would disagree with you, dear. I want to talk to your husband first. I see he has a horseshoe in his hand. Do you know about that horseshoe, Ann?
He's going to have to tell me about that horseshoe.
Well, step in here, Ted, and let's tell everybody about that.
Well, Ted, before the ball game, Tom, Ben Higgs wrote me a letter, and he said, Coach, he said, it's been a great year for him in publishing the Colt paper, and he said that this horseshoe belonged to the Secretariat, and he wished that I would have it before the ball game, and I carried it with me right up until game time, and I certainly want to thank Ben.
Did that have anything to do with what we did today?
Well, I think it came through in the second half. Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, the difference a week makes. Well, let's check our scoreboard quickly. Show you that good news final again. Well, we're going to bypass it, but for the Colts, a 30-24 win. We're in. That's what counts. Playoffs, and look out, New Orleans.